welcome back into today's video. I'm going to have a look at the weather next 7 to 10 days. In today's video, it takes us up towards the end of May, of course. It looks like we're going to be staying fairly unsettled. I think we're going to reach some high pressure in over the weekend. Actually, this bank holiday weekend is proving a real headache to pin down the exact detail on it. It's chopping and changing from run to run. We could get away with quite a nice weekend, really, with a ridge sort of over and slightly to west of the country through most weekend, but we are at risk of bringing down little weather systems, bringing down the jet stream from the north and the west. So I'm not entirely convinced even now that the models have totally got the pattern for the bank holiday weekend pinned down. Certainly in terms of the detail, anyway, I think the broad pattern is probably about there now, which is high pressure sit just to the southwest of the country. But quite how things work out in terms of detail, I'm not entirely certain. But the overall bigger picture is still for quite an unsettled sort of spell, really. The jet stream is remaining quite strong off the Atlantic, and it's going to limit the potential for dry and warm weather. We've also got a new long-range model to look at today. Just a quick sneak peek at it. It's the Canadian model. It's been sent to me by Adam from London Kent Weather on Twitter and Facebook. So we'll have a look at that at the end of the video. Just a quick sneak peek at it. It's a pretty good model from what I can see. But before we get on with that, just to mention the ads, there's links to articles on all pages at gaswebsite.com. Have a browser widgets, any articles that you're interested in. Please click through. You'll be able to go and read the article, and thanks very much for doing that. There's also the ads on most pages. They open out the content, and then they'll close back up again. Thanks for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So we start off with the radar picture. Very lively day today. This is the radar from the Weather Outlook. We can see a great rash of showers across the country. Some of them are pretty intense. You can see from the bright colours mixed in there. They're already turning quite heavy. They'll turn heavier through the course this afternoon, become more confined towards the eastern side. Don't be surprised to see some flashes of lightning and some rumbles of thunder, possibly some big hailstones mixed in as well. A proper lively, showery afternoon. I'm not sure it's quite enough to enact storm watch, but even so, pretty lively afternoon of it, and there will be some big downpours around in places. More persistent rain across the far north of Scotland. The central temperature for May is almost bang on average at the moment. We stand at 10.8 degrees provisionally, which is an anomaly of 0.2 degrees above average. So we're almost bang on normal. Actually, we may be ever so slightly below average, because this is normally overcooked a little bit, and when you get to the end of the month, it's normally corrected downwards by a few tenths of a degree. So we may actually be very, very slightly, just 0.1 or 0.2 of a degree cooler than average at the moment. I think I'm going to keep it around that sort of ballpark through the rest of the month. There'll be days where it ticks up a bit, days where it ticks down a bit, but overall not deviating greatly from the average. We may come out once it's all sorted out and the corrections have been put into place. We may come out slightly cooler than average, which would be our first cooler than average month since August 2014. We'll keep an eye on that. So here's the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts for the next week to 10 days. We've got the east end of the Earth here on the left. The GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. I'd say this is taking us more or less to the end of May now. And of course, red is extrapolating to high pressure, blue is extrapolating to low pressure. So what they're both showing is that we've got this pretty quite large ridge sitting to the west and the southwest of the country. It's very close, that area of high pressure, to giving us a prolonged spell of dry and warm weather, but the problem is it's just out to west and southwest, and it's allowing what is still a relatively strong jet stream to move into the country and then go something like that. So although the ridge is quite close, it's not close enough to prevent the jet stream from digging in, keeping it unsettled. And also with the jet stream on that sort of northwest to southeasterly type direction as it is bringing relatively cool air around the top of that high pressure as well. So it's only a very subtle difference between that and getting quite a prolonged spell of warm and dry weather. But it's a subtle difference, but it's a big difference. And it just goes to show you how very slight changes, how very slight differences can make a big impact to the overall pattern. I mean, in terms of a global scale, we're only talking about the difference of a few hundred miles between having the Atlantic sort of be high pressure sort of in the middle of the Atlantic, allowing in these cooler winds from the northwest, and having it centred over the top of the country. So on a global scale, that is a very small difference, but it makes a very big difference in terms of the actual weather. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. This takes into the start of June. Red line here, of course, is the 30-year average, the thick red line. I've got to do a video at some point, very soon, explaining how you read these ensembles. Somebody asked me if I could do a video explaining how to actually read the ensembles, what all the lines and everything else are showing. I don't have enough time in these videos to sort of explain everything, so I will do that video very soon. If you're watching this video today, I will get onto that very soon and sort of explain how to read these ensembles and what all of the lines are showing. The thick red line, though, the main point is that the thick red line here is the 30-year temperature average, and all the other lines sort of members of the ensemble. So we call them an average at the moment. As we go through excuse me, the next few days, we're going to find the ensembles ticking up, temperatures ticking up, indicated by these lines going very slightly above the red line. So we're going to go a little bit warmer at the end of the week and into the start of the weekend, but overall not really deviating that far from the red line, from the 30-year average. And overall, we're going to keep it generally around normal. And in fact, as we go towards the end of May and inside of June, we may go a bit cooler than average once again. Certainly nothing there to suggest an extended spell of warm or even hot weather. So there's no sign really of summer locking in just at the moment. Around normal, maybe a little bit above at times, maybe a little bit below at times. Is looks like it's how we're going to keep it. So pretty much as we've had it through most of May. Precipitation spikes are there throughout the ensemble. They're not there greatly, but it just indicates that with the pattern we're in, we're sort of bringing weather fronts, little systems down from the northwest periodically. And with those systems, we're bringing not huge amounts of rain, but we are bringing sort of showery bursts of rain down across the country. So we're not going to be in for a very wet period by any means. So it's just we've had it through May, but we've not really had a very wet month, but we have had a fairly changeable month. And I think we're going to keep that changeable weather going through into the end of May and possibly even into the start of June. This is June the 1st, just here. Not a washout by any means. Don't be worrying about flooding or sort of a repeat of what we had in 2007. Nothing like that, but just generally changeable type conditions with showery bursts coming through periodically. The temperature anomaly then is coming out overall cooler than average for the 19th to 27th of May, significantly so really for most parts of Europe. You have to go off in towards Russia and well, that's about it really, possibly down in towards Greece and Turkey to find any warmer than average conditions. Most of Europe, even down in Spain and Portugal, seeing quite disappointing temperature anomalies for the coming week. The rainfall anomaly from the 19th to 27th of May shows it's a bit drier than average down across England and Wales, a bit wetter than average across Scotland. It's indicative of the jet stream being closest to Scotland. And whilst it is a little bit drier than average down in the south side, we will be bringing these little fronts through at times, bringing showery conditions down over the country. So here's the synoptic pressure chart from the GFS for Saturday, and it's good representation of what was looking at on the 500 millibar height zone. You've got this big area of high pressure in the Azores, trying to ridge up towards the UK, but we're still in basically quite a flat sort of jet stream coming across the Atlantic, which means that the north and the east get the most unsettled conditions, or certainly the north gets the most unsettled conditions. I have this nice ridge coming through across England and Wales for Sunday, but low pressure is remaining close to Scotland, so showery rain up there. As we go through to the start of next week, this is Bank Holiday Monday, again the Azores high is trying to keep us mainly dry, but just the idea here that we could be having little weather systems niggling through to the north. And of course, if they're a little bit more active than this is indicating, then we do have the risk, no more than that, but we do have the risk of bringing some rain in across the country over bank holiday weekend. As we go through to the middle part of next week, the high pressure probably starts to pull away from the country, if anything, and allows these northwesterly winds to probably feed down more cloud and showery bursts of rain, I would suspect, as we get through to the middle of next week. Temperature's certainly nothing to write home about. And that's how we go up to day 10, which takes us almost to the end of the month, to the 29th of May. And we're still in the same broad pattern, actually. The high pressure's out in the Atlantic. We're still bringing down these westerly to northwesterly winds. And there could be weather fronts coming through, bringing some showery bursts of rain at times. Temperatures would be relatively cool. The E70F again, we start the weekend with this ridge building in from the west, but not able to get over top of the country. That stays with us into Sunday. Low pressure comes into Scotland on Sunday, probably brings some rain to bear. Now, the E70F isn't as good for bank holiday Monday. It's a very, very subtle difference, this, but it is possibly quite an important difference, because I think on this black line here, and between the green colours in the north and the yellow colours down crossing the west, there's probably some sort of weather system coming southwards, and that could be bringing some rain across the country for bank holiday Monday. So as I say, I don't think the bank holiday weekend, in terms of the detail, is yet done and dusted. So keep watching this space if you want to know about the weather for the bank holiday weekend. We go into the start of next week. This is for Tuesday, the 26th of May, and start of the working week, of course. High pressure still in the Atlantic, still bringing down these northwesterly, even perhaps a little bit northerly type winds. And we keep that sort of pattern going then through to the latter part of next week. Here we are on Friday, the 29th of May, day 10. And still in the broad pattern of the high pressure out to the west of the country. The flow around the top of that high pressure coming from the northwest, and there could be weather fronts coming down with that north to northwesterly flow across the country. So it's relatively cool. Quite a bit of dry weather, especially in the west, but always at risk of bringing showery conditions, showery fronts down across the country, and certainly temperatures nothing to write home about. So it looks like that's the pattern up to the end of May anyway. No great deviation actually from what we've had through the bulk of the month so far. Now, I did say that I've got a new long-range model in. It's been sent to me by a good friend Adam from London, from Kent London Weather. This is their Facebook page. They're also on Twitter, so do give them a like or follow them on Facebook and Twitter if you want to do that. It's from the Canadian model. It's a long-range model from Canada. It's the Canadian SIPS model, and it can actually be found, and I've got a link to this on the links page, it can actually be found on the website tropicaltidbits.com. So I've got the link to this website on the links page. Check it out if you want to see these charts for yourself. I just want to show you the temperature anomaly that the Canadian model is seeing. What it's seeing for June, and it's seeing quite a cool June actually. This is the temperature anomaly for June. The British Isles is right over in the far right hand corner of the chart, as you're looking at it, as we always are, seemingly on these long range charts. So we're over there, and you see that for June the temperature anomaly is coming out cooler than average. And if we just quickly go on to July and August, I can tell you that for July, the temperature anomaly then comes a little bit closer to average, but certainly nothing to write home about. And for August, then we go significantly cooler than average once again. So it's another long-range model, and of course I've not got any experience of this model, so I don't know how reliable it is. But it's another long-range model, similar to the JMA and the CFS. It's another long-range model that's sort of indicating the chance of quite a coolish summer actually. So again, you have to take this on board that all of the long range output, or seemingly most of it, is going for quite a quite a cool summer, and that is fairly interesting how that is playing out across many of the longer range models. It's definitely a trend that is within the model output. Doesn't necessarily mean any of these models are right, of course. They're all experimental, so they may all be barking up the wrong tree, but it's certainly interesting how that is playing out. You're going to see a lot more of this Canadian SIT model over the next couple of months, over the next few months. I'll be using it a great deal more. But coming back to the next week, 10 days, it looks like we're going to keep the pattern that we've had through most of May, really, which is to stay relatively cool, high pressure out to the west, bringing down these northwesterly flows. We may get away with a dry bank holiday weekend, but I don't think the detail is absolutely pinned down just yet. And overall, some showery bursts coming through at times up to the end of the month, and pretty cool as well. That's it for now. It's a 5-day forecast. Tomorrow's going to be back for that. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.